Tropes are kind of funny in concept. They're essentially the building blocks of stories that can get a bad rep because they're famous enough to be recognized on sight, and even be exhausted by, or mindlessly overused. It's like the definition of suffering from success. All sorts of genres have their own tropes with their own upsides and downsides. Shonen action series have power-ups, which can build hype and great payoffs, but also lead to power cliffing. Romance aimed at men is extremely fan-servicey and indulgent, which allows the target audience to fantasize about it, but it would probably lead to a lot of the male leads being sent to prison. Romance aimed at women is extremely fan-servicey and indulgent, which allows the target audience to fantasize, but it would probably lead to a lot of the male leads being sent to prison. If you want to see how the use of tropes can mutate and evolve, you just need to pick a genre and go back in time far enough. But for the purposes of this video, we're going to be looking at fantasy anime. And as you work forwards and approach the current year, you find that tropes wind up getting subverted, reimagined, deconstructed, made into jokes, all sorts of things. And as those interpretations become tropes themselves, people also get exhausted by them. Now, I may be wrong on this, but I think the current thing people like seeing done with tropes, not even just in Japan, is when they are played straight and thought through. As of writing this script, I'm currently only a few episodes into Frieren, Beyond Journey's End, but I think it does this really well. Also, spoilers for this show up to episode 10. Now, of course, this anime isn't just playing things straight. The very title tells you that, at the very least, it's kind of subverting one expectation. It's the after story of the adventure to defeat the Demon King, as we follow the quasi-immortal elf that was part of the hero's party. But this is where the thought through aspect I was talking about comes in. It's when you take a trope, play it straight, and then ask questions without actually undermining the trope itself. For Frieren, the question is, so, how does the elf feel after the adventure is over and everyone else in the hero's party starts aging? And the answer is regretful. With the death of Himmel, the hero whom defeated the Demon Lord, Fern really starts to question humans and their nature and try to learn more about the ephemeral species she shares the planet with. God, I really just typed that and it sounds fancy as hell. Ephemeral? Really? And that's basically the story of Frieren. No grand journey to save the world, they've already done that. Just an introspective series of relatively small scale adventures with Frieren and the humans she's adventuring with. And small is kind of the operative word. The anime has so many small details both in its animation and story that make it feel all the more real. For instance, look at the flashback in episode 3. It has its own utility because Frieren is trying to learn more and more about people, and in doing so we wind up learning about the favorite foods of the members of the hero's party. And the favorite food of Eisen, the warrior, is sour grapes, which my mind immediately connected back to the spell to turn sweet grapes sour we breezed by in episode 2. And then the next time we meet Eisen, we see them eating grapes. The story already did a good job telling us why Frieren loves collecting spells, because using those spells can make people happy, and she's fascinated with magic. But setting up pieces like that and then letting the viewers find them on their own is just the icing on the cake. And then there's the case of Qual, a demon mage the hero's party had to seal away 8 years ago because of how dangerous the spell he created was. A powerful piercing magic that could penetrate defensive spells and armor. He was dangerous. He was terrifying. He was left behind by the march of progress. The story essentially takes a look at the idea of someone creating a brand new, terrifying spell and asks, so what happens when humans get their hands on it? And then it looks at that question and takes a rather industrial method to answer it. People would start learning about how the spell works and adapting to it. After 80 years, by the time Qual is unsealed, his great and powerful spell has become the basic attack spell for humanity. It's such an interesting idea, especially when you realize that to both Qual and Frieren, 80 years is not really that long. But unlike Qual, Frieren is fully cognizant of how humans behave and develop due to their short lifespans. Of course, you can't interpret this as subverting the idea of an ancient powerful evil returning only to find that it's relatively mundane compared to modernity, and it kind of is. But I disagree because of what the fight actually focuses on. It doesn't focus on the idea that Qual was once scary and no longer is. It instead focuses more on how his spell affected the human magic system. And even though his threat level drops significantly, Qual is still treated as what he is. A genius who can instantly break down the structure and weaknesses of a defensive magic he's never seen before that he just learned can stop his all-powerful spell and actually try to put up a fight. If he had been awake for those 80 years, who knows what he could have achieved. Even the demons as a concept fall under this. The way demons are treated in Frieren actually reminds me a lot of the overly sarcastic productions video on Superman. Specifically the one where they point out that while characters like Omni-Man and Homelander are considered subversive, Superman was the original subversion. Specifically of the idea that absolute power corrupts absolutely. But he's become so widespread as a character, as a concept, that he's basically become his own trope to be subverted. And demons are kind of the same. With so many reinterpretations of demons in pop culture, I think it's kind of easy to forget that demons are bad. Shocking statement, I know. Stories tend to try and look into deeper meanings and essentially humanize their characters. And that means that more often than not, demons are treated like just another race of people. We kind of have a tendency to try and force humanity onto non-human things and be sympathetic to them.
For the same reason, I can pick up this pencil, tell you its name is Steve, and go like this. Oh. And part of you dies.
And let's face it, if you want to talk about overcoming prejudices, you can't really find something more hard to overcome than just, the word demon. Hell, the history of humanity treating each other badly because of how differently they are seems to have made some people just actively search for humanity in what's different in a sort of rebellion against that mindset. I think that's why a while back there was a bit of a blow up on Annie Twitter regarding whether or not Frieren's interpretation of demons being pure evil was good. I vaguely remember someone even saying it was racist. And all that tells me is that the demons in this show are very masterfully written. I mean, imagine a monster specifically designed to trick people into being sympathetic to it. And members of the audience watching the show fall for it so thoroughly, people start calling the main character racist, even as a joke. Frieren's interpretation is interesting in that it takes inspiration both from ancient sources and even how demons are developed in pop culture. After all, the point of biblical temptation is that the devil will come to you looking like everything you want, deceiving you into not seeing the danger he represents. Demons in Frieren are simply monsters that have evolved to deceive humans specifically. Humans tend to believe if you can speak, you can be reasoned with. Unless you're racist, which no one wants to be. So the predator of humans evolving to play on that is just perfect. Like, I don't even need to ask what the question that led to this interpretation is because the show tells us itself.
そいつらが人類と同じ言葉を使う理由を考えたことはある。なのに、なんでお母さんなんて言葉を使うの？だって殺せなくなるでしょ。まるで魔法のような素敵な言葉。
I mean, think about it. Even referring to demons as another race, which is done in so many other stories, plays into this. Because they really aren't another race. They aren't even humans. But when you look at them and when you talk to them, that doesn't seem like the right thing to say. When I think of demons as the show has portrayed them so far, intelligent man-eating predators who've evolved to play on humanity's sympathy, all I see is a well-written concept for a monster. I mean, I don't see anyone try to make this argument in relation to the other non-humanoid monsters in the series. Even as I watch the show, I find myself wondering if there could be a peaceful demon. There may even be one in the future, but at the very least with the ones encountered before episode 10, that mindset would probably get me killed. But on the plus side, demons don't actually have fully human level intelligence. At least emotionally. They're capable of imitating what they've seen humans do, like pretending to have family they care about, even though like other monsters, they do not raise their young. But they can't really intuit the nuances of human relationships. That's why the flashback demon thought she could just kill the village chief and give away his daughter. And that's why the current demons can't imagine someone hiding their power. In the end, they really are just monsters. Monsters that are really close to humans but not quite there. Unless the show decides to pull the rug out from under us later, but I kinda doubt it's gonna do that. I guess what I'm trying to say is, Frieren is really good, and if you haven't watched it, you should. Tell me your thoughts in the comments below, and while you're down there, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more content. Thank you, and good day.